moving on to the Egg Bowl. We went to this game. It was a lot of fun, at least for me. Ole Miss wins with a final of 38-19 in Starkville to improve to 11-1. Trinidad Chambliss finished out the season with a really strong performance, going for 385 and four total touchdowns. But he wasn't the only quarterback that had a statistical masterclass. We saw Kamario Taylor start this game, which is not what I expected, and he ran all over Ole Miss in this one.
Yeah, I mean, he had some great plays. He was really the only reason that this game was remotely close. I feel like if Shapen's back there, I don't even know if we get the 10 points with the
Yeah,
way it was looking. I mean, the runs Kamario had were just so huge for us moving the ball and scoring, and having Shapen in there, you wouldn't have had any of that.
yeah, I think that it would flip how y'all play. I mean, y'all are a different team when Kamario Taylor's in there. Y'all can run the ball. It opens up for some play action because, I mean, you have to keep the defense so honest. Like, Kamario Taylor is a very talented runner. Like, he's super athletic. If you're not committing several guys to the box and a spy, he could get a first down on any play running the ball, which you can't say that about many guys. So I think Ole Miss had to commit a certain amount of guys to stopping the run early, and then when it was obvious that State needed to get big passing plays, they backed off and let him have yards. That was just part of the schematics of it. So I think the stats may have been a little inflated, but I mean he earned a solid 120 of those early in the game. And I mean I don't think Ole Miss was prepared to stop that. We saw what happened with Taylor Green earlier this season. They couldn't contain him. I mean, it was pretty similar, but Kamario Taylor did what he wanted to do on the ground this game. He had an insane touchdown run. And on that one where he like completely sauced that guy in the open field.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. So State's got a bright future. Now, I think that this game obviously is not the result that State fans wanted to see, but at the end of the day, you got to be feeling pretty good about next season if you're a State fan. Braylon Womack just flipped from Auburn to Mississippi State over the week. That's a huge commitment. That's the first five-star State's pulled in a long time.
First one since Charles Cross in 19.
Yeah, that's a big deal for Jeff Levy and that coaching staff. We've been talking about that recently. I don't know if we ever mentioned it on the podcast, but I mean, I think you were feeling like that was the state lean for a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, that was his second visit last week. There's definitely been some interest.
Yeah, and I mean, I had been to Starkville ever until this season, and I think I ended up going to three state games. I'm an Ole Miss fan. And I can say confidently that Starkville has become a more intriguing destination for recruits. The game day atmosphere is electric when state's showing up to play, and I think that this team was competitive most of the year. So you got that atmosphere almost every home game, at least for the first quarter, unless you were playing Georgia. So I think that this team is trending up. Next season could be a lot more fun for Mississippi State. So, a lot to look forward to there. I think that the key play in this game for me was the interception that hit the state player in the helmet. Princely Emmanuel ends up getting a really, I say Princely, rest in peace. Prince Well Emmanuel was the player that came up with this interception. It was completely insane. I think we both just kind of looked at each other after that interception and realized, yep, that's going to come back to bite Mississippi State. I mean, that was just a play like you couldn't have drawn it up worse. And like it really should have just been an incomplete pass at the end of the day. It's a check down, just a little too high, hits an unsuspecting running back in the helmet, pops up in the air, and a defensive end comes up with a crazy snag to pull it down. Um, those plays rarely ever happen, and when they don't go your way, it's just like we worked so hard to move the ball down the field for that to happen. It's very deflating. I think that kind of just put the nail on the coffin early. It's like, okay, State's gonna have to do a lot to win this game.
Kind of just encapsulates the season to
Yeah, you could take that as a
random
play for
little
the season.
random little dumb mistakes that just bite you like that.
Yeah, like the Missouri game, there were some plays that just you really couldn't even come up with an excuse
There was
for how
multiple
bad they were.
plays in that game that were just completely head scratching.
Yeah, and I think that'll change. This team had some stuff not go their way this year. They had some close games. I think next year y'all could turn the tide on some of that stuff. So I mean, that play definitely sunk y'all's chances. Ole Miss getting 29 first downs and going for over 545 total yards didn't really help very
And
much.
picking on our one specific DB the whole game. Like I don't know how many yards that dude gave up. It was bad.
Yeah, our entire wide receiver core decided to have a day in this game. Deuce Alexander had an 88-yard touchdown to kind of put this one way out of reach. Deshaun Stribling had two really nice one-on-one touchdowns in the end zone. Um, he played really well. Um, Caden Lee had a really nice game. Winston Watkins had a couple catches. Um, I mean, we had a bunch of guys play some really good football in this game at wide receiver. So I think that's the biggest strength of this football team is the depth at the wide receiver position. In the playoffs, this is going to matter a ton. So when you start playing teams like, let's say Ole Miss does play in Ohio State, or they play in Indiana or Georgia again, they're going to face some really good defensive backs and some really good defensive lines. You have to be able to pick on DBs. You got to find a matchup that you like, and Ole Miss can expose just about any kind of matchup they want. They just move a guy around somewhere, sub somebody out when they're not expecting, really quick with some tempo, and you've got a different matchup that you weren't expecting to have on DB that may be giving up a lot of yards or having a lot of PIs. So I think that favors Ole Miss in a lot of games. That's the huge strength that Ole Miss has. And then Kawan Lacey has been playing some great football. He had another good game against State here. At the end of the day, this year Ole Miss had the better football team, and that's what mattered. Next year, I think we're going to be in for a really interesting egg ball. So hopefully we'll stay consistent with this podcast, and we'll be back here this time next year talking about a completely different game. I think that State's currently shaping up to have a slightly better trajectory than Ole Miss going into next year.
Maybe
So
so.
a
I
lot
will
can
say.
change in a year with now where college football is. We may be looking at a completely different scene next year.